What if there was a killer on the loose, killing hundreds of thousands of people, and the police would only do more research and build more weaponry, only to help victims have a more peaceful death? Wouldn't you want to step in if you knew the answer to how to arrest this silent killer? Well, there you have it. High blood pressure, the real silent killer, is termed incurable and a disease that you have to live with for the rest of your life. But today we'll be targeting this silent killer and showing you how to reverse high blood pressure in a few natural and simple steps. Now first, how many people is high blood pressure holding hostage today? Just in the US alone, we have about 77.9 million adults who have high blood pressure, who have been diagnosed with high blood pressure, and that is basically 1 out of 3 individuals who are walking on the streets today. And nearly 1 out of every 6 people who has high blood pressure, they don't even know that they have it. So that is the statistics that we get from American Heart Association today. For example, high blood pressure right now is costing the nation $46 billion. Imagine just having a percentage of this. How many people could be helped right now who has high blood pressure? It's costing $46 billion every single year. And this total basically includes the healthcare services, medications, and also the missed days of work as well. In fact, the #1 killer in the US today is heart disease. And very interestingly, it's not only in the US only, but in the entire world. Now, was this also prophesied by the Bible? Do you think the Bible also mentioned any glimpse as to whether this would take place or not even today? You see, in the book of Luke chapter 21 verse 26, this is what the Bible says. It says, men's hearts failing them for fear and for looking after those things which are coming upon the earth. For the powers of heaven shall be shaken. Notice that the Bible prophesied that men's hearts shall be failing them. Or in other words, heart disease, heart attacks, high blood pressure, and all those heart-related conditions would be on the rise, especially today in the time that we live in. Now, what is high blood pressure? Basically, it's a condition in which the force of the blood against the artery is too high, or against the arterial walls is too high. And it's very simple. So, for example, someone who may have a normal blood pressure reading would have a systolic of 120 and a diastolic of 80. The reading will be 120 over 80. That is based upon the American Heart Association. And also pre-hypertensive is a range between 120 to 139 systolic and a diastolic between 80 to 89. And someone who is diagnosed clinically to be hypertensive has a systolic between, well, over 140 really, and a diastolic over 90. Now, it's very good to take note of those because you may very well be one of those people in the statistics of not even knowing that you have high blood pressure. Now, notice that high blood pressure, we said that it is a silent killer. Now, this is because most of the time, there are no obvious symptoms of high blood pressure at all. Only thing that we have are severe complications that arise when most of the time it's already too late. Now, what do those complications include? Complications, basically, it will be things like heart attacks. Someone may develop a stroke. Someone may develop different things like heart failure. I mean, different items like kidney disease or even kidney failure can result as a result of high blood pressure. Also, vision loss, sexual dysfunction, angina, peripheral artery disease or PAD, however you want to refer to it as. But basically, in order now for us to identify the cure for such a condition, then first the cause must be identified. Now, I'm going to show you from our medical book here. Now, the medical book, we refer to the Bible as the medical book. In the book of Proverbs chapter 26 verse 2, the Bible is giving us a very powerful yet simple principle that we can follow in assisting anyone with healing or anyone to be able to assist in reversing that condition or any condition someone has. Proverbs 26 verse 2 tells us that as a bird by wandering, as a swallow by flying, it says, so the curse causeless shall not come. What is a curse? It's also synonymous to a disease. So Proverbs, for the inspiration of God, it's saying the disease doesn't come without a cause. Now, Job also, under the inspiration of God himself, the Creator God, he gave a divine principle that we should pay close attention to. in order for us to receive healing. In Job chapter 29 verse 31, he says, I was a father to the poor, and the cause which I knew not, he said, I searched it out. Simple. Wow. It's clear. It's a principle. It's a biblical principle that is very powerful, that we can be able to experience healing by searching out the cause. The reason why you want to search out the cause is because the cure, very simply put, the cure is in the cause. It's very simple. So now for us to be able to find out the cures for high blood pressure, then first, what are the causes of high blood pressure? That will give us a better glimpse. One of the major and the main causes for someone to develop heart disease, high blood pressure, and those conditions would be what you call cholesterol or plaque. Now, we want to understand what affects then cholesterol from being built up into the bloodstream, into the arterial walls. What causes that buildup? One of the initial things would be inflammation. Now you may ask, well, how do I really get inflammation within my arterial walls? Well, inflammation comes as a result of our intake of a whole bunch of refined sugars that we consume, different vegetable oils, processed foods, fried foods, refined flour, dairy, artificial sweeteners, and many of those other things can cause inflammation, basically to the point where there is some sort of a breakage within the blood vessels or the arteries in our body. And as a result of this breakage, the liver then produces what you call cholesterol, which is the plaque. It produces it only to help you. Because of this breakage, because of this inflammation, and you loading your system with toxic foods and all those other items, then the body's trying to patch up that inflammation. But as a result of continually trying to patch up that inflamed spot, over time, the cholesterol levels increase, the plaque increase, and as a result, you're diagnosed with high blood pressure. The force increases as well. Even things like sodium. A high intake of sodium as well, it may cause the walls of the arteries to be even more brittle or more dehydrated. And as a result, the same effect will be done as it relates to sending the cholesterol into the bloodstream to patch it up. Now, sodium, when largely taken, basically it has this very similar effect like the plaque buildup. In fact, use more natural sea salts instead of the other salts that are more just sodium chloride, but one that has more minerals in it, one that is mined from a better source. But even though studies suggest that lowering your salt intake can reduce your blood pressure by 1 to 5.4 points, but there's still no evidence that lowering salt prevents things like heart attacks, stroke, or even death. So one of the main things you really want to focus on is increasing your potassium as well. Because with high blood pressure, there's an imbalance with sodium and potassium. And even people who increase their potassium but has the same amount of salt intake, they receive benefits from being able to lower their high blood pressure. Now, one of the things that we really want to start off with as we look at inflammation, we also want to include more fiber into our diet. Because, for example, a study that was done tells us that high fiber diets have shown to be effective in lowering blood pressure. A group of patients with high blood pressure were given basically 7 grams of additional fiber per day over a 3-month period. Now, they showed reductions in both the diastolic and the systolic blood pressure levels. And they were able to lower the cholesterol with just fiber. So guess what? Soluble fiber slows the absorption of some food components such as cholesterol and other food items within the body as well. And also reduces the cholesterol the liver produces at the same time. So what do we want to do then? It's very simple. Eat foods that are high in fiber, eat foods that are high in magnesium, potassium, and really foods high in magnesium, potassium, those will be a lot of your green vegetables, your cruciferous vegetables, things like your eggplants, and all those others are high in magnesium and potassium. And also add more omega-3s to your diet. Where do you get that from? A lot of good sources, plant sources like your flaxseed, very high in omega, your walnuts, and all those typically has a good amount of omega-3s in there that could really assist with your entire heart health, and it's also anti-inflammatory as well. So the second major cause for inflammation within the bloodstream, or the second major cause I would say of a cholesterol buildup, is from dietary factors. Now, most people wouldn't tell you that you can get cholesterol from your diet that is really affecting you to have high blood pressure today. Now, if we get cholesterol from our diet, we want to see what are the sources of cholesterol in our diet. Because as we look at this cause, the obvious thing to do is to eliminate the cause so that way we can get rid of the problem. So now cholesterol is found only in animal foods. So guess what? Red meats, poultry, yes, and even fish, chicken, eggs, milk, cheese, yogurt, and all other dairy products has high levels of cholesterol in it. And as a result of those high levels of cholesterol, it increases the cholesterol in the bloodstream, the blood pressure therefore increases, and we develop so many severe complications through dietary cholesterol. Yes, animal foods. So if animal food is causing us to have high blood pressure, in order for us to receive that effect where we can lower our blood pressure, it's really just eliminating animal foods from our diet. And we can get the benefits of the results, going more on a full, whole food, plant-based diet. So now, when we look at, for example, many people may say, well, maybe I can do some lean meats because the lean meats may have maybe less cholesterol in it. Now, choosing lean meats is not enough. The cholesterol is mainly in the lean portion. So higher intake of animal protein, even that too may be associated with the increased risk of heart issues as well. So now, what food should I add to the diet? For example, as you eliminate the fatty foods, as you eliminate the cholesterol foods and eat more plant foods, some of the things that you may especially want to add will be things like garlic, the sulfuric foods, which really helps to lower the blood cholesterol level as well. Things like onion, things like cayenne helps to dilate the blood vessels. Things like flaxseed, like we mentioned, anti-inflammatory, eggplants, high in potassium. Even beets, it's a blood builder, strengthens the heart. So all those natural foods, all your greens, and all those are also very potent for lowering blood pressure. Now the third one that we want to mention is stress. Now how does stress really work? Now think about it. When someone is stressed, the sympathetic nervous system, it kicks in. And as a result of this nervous system kicking in, a surge of hormones is released. The adrenaline and everything now kicks in, and there's that fight or flight type of response that takes place. And as a result, for example, maybe it's acute stress at the moment. What happens is your breathing begins increasing, your heart rate begins increasing, and your blood pressure increases. So now imagine that stress being something that is more chronic, something that we experience not only for a day, maybe for a week, not only for a week, maybe for months and years. What effect is that having upon our blood pressure? Now, it's very simple. The next thing after we remove the inflammatory foods, after we cut out the fatty and cholesterol foods from our diet, the third thing is do not stress. Basically, you want to give your problems over to the Lord. That is the best way I've seen for anyone to handle stress. He told us in the book of 1 Peter chapter 5 verse 7, casting all your care upon him, for he careth for you. Do you know that Jesus cares for you? And he doesn't want you to remain in that state of constant stress. You want to identify those stresses in your life and allow the Lord to take care of it. I recommend also a wonderful book called Steps to Christ, if you are able to get your hands on it, written by Ellen G. White. It has helped thousands to overcome stress. Now, the fourth step in really lowering your blood pressure naturally through those simple approaches, the fourth step is to exercise at least an hour daily. Now, why is that important? Basically, another study that was done as well, it says it has also been shown that exercise and relaxation were found to lower anger, hostility, expressions, and particularly concerning individuals who were likely to talk about their problems. Blood pressure was reduced, heart rate was reduced, and overall benefits were experienced. So just as a result of exercising, your blood pressure and your heart rate, it reduces as well. So as a result of implementing exercise to our daily lives, exercising daily, simple thing like walking or whatever exercise that you are able to do, that will be a major benefit in helping lower your blood pressure as well. Now, another study, as we look at the Whitehall 2 study, as we go to the fifth point is rest. Just being able to have proper rest at night. That is another major aspect in being able to assist us. Now, in a Whitehall 2 study published in 2007, this is what it says. It showed that those who had cut their sleep from 7 to 5 hours or fewer a night nearly doubled their risk of death from all causes. And a lack of sleep can more than likely double the risk of death from cardiovascular disease. From just improper sleep, we increase our risk of cardiovascular and the different heart diseases associated with it. So what do I recommend? Or what is recommended as well? So basically recommend being able to go to sleep at least before 10 p.m. nightly. And as a result, you can be able to get an average of 7 to 8 hours of sound or good sleep. And that will be a tremendous help in assisting you with the entire recovery process. Now, even as we talk about sleep, do you know that even God rested after creating the world in 6 days? When you go all the way back to Genesis, the very beginning, and in Genesis chapter 2 verse 3, it tells us that God himself rested. I mean, God didn't really need to rest, but he showed us an example by resting. He also rested, and he blessed the day that he rested. He said that God rested on the 7th day. And as a result, he called this day the Sabbath. So God left us an example that we should follow, which also gives us health benefits as well as we implement rest in our lives nightly and also a weekly rest as well. Now at number 6, the final thing that I'll be sharing with you is not in this video right now, but you have to click this link right here. So click this link to learn how to make this powerful natural drink to aid in lowering your blood pressure. And you need to watch and also implement this immediately. Health is not as complicated as many make it seem. It's very simple. In order for you to experience different results in your health, you must first be willing to do something different and also have a decided will to make a decided change. It's very simple. You do something different, you experience different results. You follow those principles, you experience the lowering of blood pressure in your life. And remember, subscribe to our channel for more videos like this.